Hello, and this is several things. I got an insult/suggestion today. I replied with what I thought was an incredibly creative insult back, but also explaining why I said what I said and why delete underlaying will not work for Fog of War, and why Fog of War is just not going to work like that. If you really want to read them, I'm going to keep them up. I see no reason to take them down. And also, did make a request, and I did agree to do the requests. So, let's do it. It's TBS. I'm assuming that people can do player movement. So I'm doing enemy movement. I'm going to show you how to make the enemy AI for a TBS, not including ranged shooting or the battle sequence. You can either use an RTS method, where if you have moves left, you could attack and shoot a bullet or whatever, or you could go into a battle scene like Final Fantasy, except you wouldn't choose war. It's more of like a cutscene, and it would do all the cutscene stuff. But at the same time, I lost word. My theoretical train just got derailed. So it's up to you to figure out the fighting and to do the player controls, but I'll take care of the AI movement, which is one of the more complicated things to get right. If people need help with player control or enemy fighting, I'll be happy to do so, but the RTS tutorials will help with that. Not the enemy AI, but the that's what videos they'd be under, but the actual enemy combat for a ranged weapon, except it'd only shoot one bullet at a time, and it would only do it if it has moves left, etc. So we have two objects, player underscore spot, which would normally go wherever a player is. Right now it's just a stick figure. During create, we say align to grid of 32 by 32. You can just find this in the move tab of the objects, and it's underneath jump, and you just drag it over. By default, it'll be 16 and 16. Just change them to 32 by 32. And you have release enter, which says with, in parentheses, enemy turn equals true, which is just a variable. It's a Boolean variable which only has one of two options, true or false. You can use numbers instead, but Booleans are good if you only need a true or false. Now, then we have the enemy, which only has three things, but the step code is a little long. In create, we initiate our two variables, both of them Boolean, which is of course the true and false. We have turn equals false and time equals true. Now the purpose of turn is to determine whether or not it's the enemy's or player's turn. When turn equals false, it's the player's turn, and when turn equals true, it's the enemy's turn. When time equals true, that means it's okay to go, and you'll see in the alarm, when the alarm goes off, we have code that says time equals true. The reason why is we want a time break in between the movements, so that it doesn't just happen like that and the player doesn't get to see it. So we want to have little breaks so it almost looks a little glitchy, but still fast enough so it doesn't look like it's lagging or anything, and the player doesn't get bored watching it. So to do this, also in the step event, we also have align to grid of 32 by 32. Just do the same as you did in the create of the other one. Then we have this nice long step event. What it does is it starts off by making sure it's both our turn and we've waited the timeout so that it doesn't happen too fast. So we have if turn equals true and time equals true, and of course in all C and Java based languages, and is done by two and signs or shift 7-7. Now then we have if move is greater than 0. We did not set the move variable to anything yet. That's at the very end actually. But if we have a move is an action, you can also set it to attack if you want to do everything on map, all the attacking on map, which is fine. So we say if move is greater than 0, and then we do our movement. this is our Y movement, and X movement is the exact same thing, except all the instances of Y will be changed to X. So I'm only going to go over the Y and then just copy and paste it and change the Y's to X's, and you're fine. So we're going to have if move is greater than 0. We have if instance underscore nearest, you can read it on the screen, I'm just going to refer to it as instance underscore nearest, dot Y is greater than Y, or the object is below us. Sorry about that. So if the object is below us and we need our Y to increase, we say Y plus equals 32, so we move one block or 32 pixels down. In TBSs you always have blocks or a grid, and everything is aligned to that grid, and we just made our grid 32 by 32 because that's the easiest, that's the standard sprite size in GameMaker, it just makes everything a lot easier. And then we have move minus equals 1. We moved, we did one action, let's take one action away. We can't do another action unless we have more left. Then we have time equals false, as in we didn't wait enough time to do another action. Then we have alarm 0 equals 10, which means after 10 steps, time will be true again, and we can do another action. Mess around with how many steps you want to work with. Just do whatever feels good for the gameplay for you. I just did 10 because it's a nice round number. Then we have an else if. The else if means it'll only go into the if statement if the previous one came up false. So that's how we do that. And else will only do that if the previous statement was false and you don't have a condition. So we have else if instance underscore nearest dot Y is less than Y, which means the object is above us. We need to subtract some Y. So we have the same thing, Y minus equals 32, and then move minus equals 1. So we're moving up and we're taking away an action, and once again we have time equals false and alarm 0 equals 10, so that way we have enough time to recuperate. Then in just an else statement we have time equals false and alarm 0 equals 10. The else statement will only come into effect if you're on the same Y axis as the other object. So that's how that'll work. And then we have the exact same thing for X, and it does check up and down before it does left and right. If you want to change that, go right ahead, but I don't advise doing all four in the same check move, because then it'll move diagonal all the time, and you do need that else statement. You can't just have two if statements, because then it'll move diagonal all the time too. So kind of makes a difference. And then still in the if turn equals true and time equals true bracket, still in that block of code, we have if distance underscore to underscore object, the instance underscore nearest, once again that function, is less than or equal to 32. So if we're within 32 pixels of the object, we say with and then the same instance underscore nearest function, instance underscore destroy. This is the point where instead of with that you would create a bullet, and the bullet would go towards the instance underscore nearest, or you would go into that little cutscene where it would show a battle, or you would go into that turn-based fight scene like in Final Fantasy or turn-based RPGs. You would go into that now, and then we end the turn, and then we end the turn block of code, not necessarily our turn, and we have two if statements. If turn equals false, as in it's not our turn, then move equals 4. That's where we set how many actions we can do in a turn. That's very important, and we only reset those actions if it's not our turn. And then we have if move is less than or equal to 0, turn equals false. So now the turn's over when we run out of actions, and because the turn is over, next step we'll get all our actions back. So that's actually the whole part of it. Someone else asked about advanced mode. You just go to File, it's the third one from the bottom, Advanced Mode. You really shouldn't have a project open when you're going between modes, because it'll save it but it'll close it, then you have to reopen, and sometimes it won't save it. Going from simple to advanced, it won't save it. But alright, right now I'm just going to show you, I'm going to tell you when I hit enter and I'm starting an enemy turn. So an enemy turn starting now, and it moved up, and then up and left, which means diagonal. Now it's going to move diagonal 2 times, and it's just going to move left 4 times because it has those 4 actions. It's going to start moving down. Another one. And you can see how it kind of glitches along. You can almost see the grid, how it's going on. Other TBSs actually draw a grid. And we're moving slowly over the object, and we get it, and that's that. And even though I hit enter, it's not moving because there is no instance of Y. So that's all done. If you lose all your characters, it all reset itself. But that's okay. That's how the enemy AI works. Hope that helps some people. So once again, I both accept and apologize to that user. I forget the name, and I tried reading it, but my brain just isn't working right now, and I cannot read or talk. So I'm not going to do a shout out right now. But if you have any requests, feel free to post them. Or if you have a whole new genre that you'd like to see, for instance, RPG, FPS, platform, adventure, anything like that, feel free to request that too. Who knows, maybe I can help you. So, thanks for watching.